Hey guys, I'll be taking you through developing a Gantt chart on a project management software called Project Libre. So we will be using Project Libre to generate not only a Gantt chart but also a network diagram as well as a work breakdown structure. This is the data that you'll be using as your input on Project Libre to automatically generate these three diagrams. So you have activities, tasks, start date, end date, dependencies, resources, and cost per hour. We'll start with activities. I would like for you guys to picture industry, to picture real life activities, and not just look at this, activity as phase one, it is T1, but to actually think like an industrial engineer that is currently doing you're currently doing your P1 or practicals, or you are in a graduate or internship program, and you are given a project to plan for each task, each activity, up to the last phase of the project. So this is the project data that you are given. Your activities are your main processes, your main activities. So I'll give an example. In class, I said your phase one could be your proposal. You are a master's student and you are supposed to write your thesis, since your master's is not coursework, but it is research based. So the first phase, you will write your proposal. That would be your phase one. And then under your proposal, then you will check which tasks do I need to complete for my proposal to get approved. So whenever, for each phase, you must always think of milestones that you want to reach. So a milestone is a goal. Where must this activity take you? So for me to get approved to move to phase two, which is writing my thesis, then my supervisor must approve my proposal, then give me a green light to proceed with my thesis. So your task 1, task 2, task 3, task 4, those could be subtopics that you will include in your proposal. So it could be your background of the company you'll be collecting data from. It could be the background of your study. It could be your introduction, your mini literature review introducing what the study is about, tools that you'll be using. T3 could be your objectives, hypothesis, research questions, and T4 could be your scope of the study. And then phase two, since it's your thesis, you might have to break it down. In two chapters. So your T5 could be your chapter 1, introduction, T6, chapter 2, literature review, T7, methodology, chapter 3, T8, results, chapter 4, T9, analysis, chapter 5, T10, findings, chapter 6, T11, discussion of findings, chapter 7, and T12 could be your recommendations and conclusion. So if we are not looking at it in the academic space, but we are looking at it as a graduate that is working in a manufacturing company, then we can say your phase one could be you're working in a foundry, and these are the processes that castings have to go through in order for you to complete manufacturing steel and producing it for engineering as well as mining space. So there's plenty of examples I can give you for your milestones, your tasks, your activities, but I would like for you to actually broaden your thinking when it comes to that, because I'm going to give you a scenario. And then you have to pick up what is my phase one, what is my T1, what is my T2. So here's another example. This is your project, and the first phase of your project, you are planning your business. So phase one is business planning, and then what makes up a business plan, or what completes this activity, which is business planning. You must develop a business plan, conduct market research, finalize business model, register business and tax setup. And then your milestone out of this phase could be your business plan getting approved. So your milestone is not an activity but a goal that you reach. So the duration of your milestone will always be 0 on Project Libre, because the approval is instant. So it doesn't take the whole day or 24 hours for the approval to happen. Okay, I'll make an example. When you send money, you get a notification, a bank notification immediately after sending it to say your transaction was approved, or the deposit was successfully done, or the money has been received. So it doesn't take 24 hours for that approval to happen or the completion of the process to happen. Yes, tasks will take different days to get completed, but the milestone, reaching the milestone, you reach it on the last day, right? Meaning that that confirmation, that notification happens immediately after. So we also have different types of resources. In our exercise for today, we have operator names. So we have the names of the operators that we are assigning to each task. So in this case, we have a business consultant assigned to develop a business plan, a lawyer assigned to conduct a market research, an accountant assigned to finalize a business model, and a market researcher assigned to register business and tax setup. So your resources could be anything. I'm giving you these examples because for your test, I'm not expecting you to say T1, T2, T3, up to T4, or M1, M2, phase 1, phase 2. I'm expecting you, if phase 1 is business planning, then type business planning. If T1 is develop a business plan, then type develop a business plan. If your resources are Lerato and Ben, do not write L and B. You will write Lerato and Ben, or an accountant, or a market researcher. So you will type it as it is. And then for your milestone, these are your other examples. So your business model approved. Okay, in this case, finalizing your business model must happen before the business model gets approved, because you cannot approve a business model if it was never developed. So let us check if finalize a business model. This is our task. So which task? Finalize. It's T3. So T3 must have happened for M1 to be achieved. So for milestone number 1, which is business model approved, the business model is approved because the business model was finalized. Okay, so that's what it means. These are your different types of milestones. So another one, license, business registration completion depends on register business and tax setup. Register business and tax setup, it's T4. So the project manager or the market researcher must register the business and tax setup in order for the business registration to be completed. Okay, so now let us get into the business of the day, which is developing a Gantt chart, network diagram, and work breakdown structure on Project Libre. Okay, so this is our data. This is what we're going to be using. All right, guys, open Project Libre. Then we close. Under projects, project name, student number, initials, surname, manager, module code, start time. Please check the data given. You're going to check the first task for your first phase or activity, and that's the start time or start date you're going to use. 1st of May 2024. So please change the year first and then the month May 1st. So this is really important because your data, your year, will be consistent throughout your project Libre data table. So your inputs for each task, the start and end time, those dates will be consistent all through. But if you don't change this, by default you saw it was the year was 2026. So then that would mean for each task you will have to thoroughly check if the year is correct. So we don't want any room for errors. That's why we have to change this and insert the first start date of your first activity and your first task. Then you click OK. So this side of Project Libre is your Gantt chart. So as you insert your data here, your Gantt chart will gradually get developed. So Project Libre will generate your Gantt chart. Okay, so you're going to ignore the first column, second column, and you're only going to insert data under name, which are the names of your tasks as well as your activities. So your duration will be generated automatically. You don't have to insert anything. You're going to insert here under name, start, finish, predecessors, and resource names. Okay, so our activities, we're going to start with phase 1. We are starting with phase 1 or activity 1 because that's the first phase of our project, and under the first phase of our project we have 4 tasks. So it's T1 up to T4. And then we have the second phase, phase 2. That is our T5, T6, T7, T8, T9, T10, and T12. Okay, the second step, because we are basically saying T1 up to T4 falls under phase 1, right? And then T5 up to T12 falls under phase 2. These are the tasks that the operators will be focusing on in order for phase 1 to be complete. In order for the business model to be approved, these are the 4 tasks that the relevant specialists or employees or operators will be working on. So you're going to highlight all the activities that fall under phase 1, indent, highlight all the activities that fall under phase 2, right click and then click indent. Okay, right, let me undo. So I want to show you this side. This is your Gantt chart slowly being generated by Project Libre. These 12 box, actually 14, 12 that is for your tasks, 2 will be for your phases. So this is not a true reflection of your project, because then it means this is my task 1 up to task 12. They all fall under the same activity. And in this case, we have 2 different activities, so we need to separate them from, separate one from the other. So this is how we are separating. You highlight, you right click, you click indent, and then this black block will appear, and your phase 1 will be bolded, showing the difference between activities and tasks. This is the main process, these are sub processes. You repeat the same thing for your phase 2, right click, indent, then another black block will appear here, and phase 2 will also get will be bold, will be written in bold. Okay, so once you're done inserting your phases, you can then insert your time. Your start is the 1st of May, finishing on the 11th of May. So the 11th of May happens to be on a weekend. If you do get data that falls over the weekend, whether it's your start or finish time, then you choose the next weekday, first weekday, which is Monday. By default, when you insert the 11th, Project Libre will insert the 10th of May, which is the Friday. So that is not correct. You must correct this error and choose the Monday, meaning the 13th. So let me insert 11. See, then it's written the 10th. So we're going to change it to the 13th. Why are we doing that? Because usually projects run for 5 days, only on weekdays. So sometimes it depends with your scenario. Other projects, they work overtime, even on weekends. Other projects, they work double shifts. In this case, this project is for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. So I could give you a statement that clearly states how long do the operators or relevant people work on these tasks. Okay, so hence we are choosing the Monday, because on weekends, no one is working. Okay guys, let us then check our data. Our data. Okay, so right, so for T2, it starts on the 1st as well, finishes on the 16th. T3 starts on the 11th, so we choose the Monday, the 13th. It finishes 26th, we choose the 27th, since the 26th is on a Sunday. And then starts on the 1st, finishes on the 11th, choose the 13th. Starts on the 16th, even the next one starts on the 16th. Let me just, other one starts on the 11th, so we choose the 13th. Next one starts also on the 11th, we choose the 13th. 26, we choose the 27th. 5th June, 10 June, lastly 20 June. 20 June. Okay, T5 finishes on the 26th, so we choose the 27. T6 finishes on the 21st. T7 finishes on the 31st. And then T8 finishes on the 5th of June. T9 finishes on the 6th of June. T10 finishes on the 20th of June. T11 finishes also on the 20th. And then T12 finishes on the 30th. So the 30th happens to be on a Sunday. We choose the 1st of July. Right, there we go. We have inserted our start and finish time, and we have separated our faces. So this is your Gantt chart. This is your input data. So you can actually zoom in and out. So you can zoom in and out so that you can see all your processes and how long they take, or your tasks and how long they take. So the next phase will be for you to assign the resources. You can actually start with your milestones, but I prefer you start with your resources. It's much easier because it's much easier. When you now have inserted your milestones, there's a big room for errors, and you'll see, I'll show you how. So the resources, these are the resources, the names of the operators. So we have the names of the operators. So you're going to click this tab, resource, and then you're going to click resources. Then you'll have this sheet. So the only things that you're going to populate, the names of your resources or your operators, as well as the standard rate. So the standard rate, you must always, if you are given daily, then convert to hourly, because it must be a cost per hour. Your standard rate is cost per hour. So if you are given daily, convert to an hourly rate. Otherwise, if you're going to put it as a daily cost, then it might, not even that, it might, your work will be incorrect, because you'll be inserting data that is not correct. Okay, so there we go. Let us check for our resources, Michael and Taro. Lerato. Lerato and Ben. Okay, these are your resources, and from here insert your standard rate, which is your cost per hour, 350, 450, 400, 560, 250. Right, so you've inserted your resources, and now it's time for you to assign them to each task. So you go back to task, and then you click Gantt chart. Then under this column, resource names, you go to each task, you double click and assign your resources. So under task information, you click resources, then the name of the task that you're assigning this resource to will be written here. So we're assigning T1 to Michael and Tabo. We are assigning them to T1. So they'll work as a pair in completing this task together. Ben and Lerato as well, they'll be pairing up. Jimmy and Dombi, double click again. Then check, this is a face, so I cannot insert or assign operators because it's not a task, right? It's not a task, it's an activity, it's a phase, and only tasks should be assigned. These three will work as a team. So it's good that we have inserted our resources according to the order that we were giving in. If you were to be creative and start with Jimmy instead of Tabo and Michael, then it would have been difficult for us to assign these resources without making an error. So, but now it's easier because we know that we started with a pair that is assigned to the first task. So it's always easier to start like that. Jimmy and Ntombi and Jimmy. You know that the first resources for the first task, the last resources for the last task. Right, so let us check our Gantt chart. We have our resources assigned. So please don't make a mistake of then inserting these manually and say Ben, this is Ben. Please don't make a mistake of inserting these manually. Just follow the step of assigning it properly, because in industry, when you have to assign operators to machines, you probably have about 100 operators, so you cannot manually insert operators on a huge spreadsheet like that. So the reason why we are automating everything is because in industry almost everything is automated to ensure that our job is quite easier. You don't have to go through a whole list and assign. So yeah, if you make an example, instead of choosing Ben, you also choose Lerato, Tabo and Dombi. It means now you've assigned 4 people instead of 3. Double click again, click assign, and then remove the incorrect resource that you selected. There we go. Okay, from here we're going back. Okay, from here we go back to our data just to check if is there anything that we haven't inserted. So we were given faces, tasks, start date, end date. We have that. Dependencies we don't have. Resources we've just assigned them. Costs we also have them. So this column is missing. So these are our dependencies, meaning that M1 depends on T1. So for you to reach this milestone, the first task must have been completed. For your business model to get approved, you must have developed a business plan. So that's basically what it means. So this will then fall under what? Dependencies, predecessors. Okay, so our milestones, right? So basically this relationship T1 and M1, I think I'll repeat for the second time, basically means M1 depends on T1. For you to reach M1, you must have completed T1. So that's what it means. Hence they are called dependencies. So this depends on T1 for it to happen. So how do we present that relationship on Project Libre? You go to T1. Before T1, we need to insert a row. And then that would be where we're going to insert our M1. So this can never come before. A milestone doesn't come before the task that it depends on, but it will always come after that task, because it depends on the task for it to happen. Okay, and then our milestone, remember I said for your tasks, you never change the duration because Project Libre generates it automatically. But yes, Project Libre generates it automatically. Project Libre does generate it automatically, but for your milestones, you will have to insert the duration yourself. So since a milestone is not an activity, we're always going to insert 0 under duration. And then your start and finish time of your milestone, you're always going to observe the finish time of the task that it depends on. So milestone number 1 depends on T1. So what is the finish time of T1? Remember I said T1, for an instance, we could say it is developing a business plan. And then milestone 1 is your business plan getting approved. So when was the business plan done? We started compiling a business plan on the 1st of May. We finished on the 13th of May. So when did you reach the milestone of developing a business plan? On the 13th of May. So that's when the business plan was approved, because I had completed it. So this is why we're going to choose the 13th of May for our start date as well as our finish date for our M1. So once you insert your start date, your finish date will be inserted automatically. But please always double check if you have the same date, because if you have a different one, then your duration will change. So this remains 0. Then we move to M3. Let us move to M2 actually. M2 depends on T4. Where's T4? Let's say T4 is finalizing your business model. So when you finalize your business model, then the business model is now approved. Remember, M1 is the business plan being approved. M2 now it's the business model getting approved. So your M2 we could say depends on T1 to have been completed for it to be reached. So we go to T4, insert our milestone, which is M2. Remember the duration 0. Start the finish time of T4, which is the 13th. Let's go to M3. M3 depends on T2 and T4, right? So T2 and T4, remember we said T4, it is the finalization of a business model. And then T2, we could say it's, let's actually use this example. T2, we could say it's conducting market research. So our M3, which is our milestone, we could say, or T2, let's say it's your registration, your business registration, and then our M3, it is reaching a milestone number 3, which is getting your business registered as well as your tax set up. So M3 depends on 2 activities. Which one do we choose? Because remember, we need to insert this milestone after the task that that it depends on. So how do we select whether we're going to insert a row before, after T2 or T4? So we're going to select a task that takes okay, so let's observe T2 and T4 first. T2 finishes on the 16th, T4 finishes on the 11th. So between the 2 tasks, which task takes the longest, or which task was completed last? It is T2. So you will always choose a task that was completed last. Why? If we're going to put a milestone under T4, meaning we are saying on the 11th of May, the business model was approved, but what if T2 is finalizing the business model, and the business model was only finalized on the 16th? So both of these tasks should be complete before reaching this milestone. So hence we're going to choose the one that has the latest date. I mean, not the latest date, but the one that finished late. So the one that finished late is T2. So we'll choose T2 because both activities or both tasks must have happened for this milestone to be reached. So it finished when? 16th. Then our M4 is between T1 and T2. T1 finishes on the 11th, T2 on the 16th. So clearly we are going to be choosing T2. But T2 we already have milestone number 3. Where do we now insert milestone number 4? Right after milestone number 3. Right after milestone number 3. Okay, so M4, the last date or the end date for T2 is the 16th. So we're going to put 16th of May. And then let's check M5 is between T3 and T6. T3 finishes on the 26th of May, T6 on the 21st. So we're going to choose T3. So insert M5 here. Duration is 0 and the start and end is the 27th. Right, M6, it's between T7 and 8. Which one? Okay, T8 finishes on the 5th, T9 on the 6th, so we choose T9. M6, 0. When does T9 finish? It finishes on the 6th of June. Then T7, M6 is between T3. M6 is between T7 and T8. T7 finishes on the 31st of May, T8 on the 5th of June. So let us undo that. So between T7 and T8, we're gonna choose T8, which finishes on the 5th of June. So we insert after T8, that's our M6, 0, and then the 5th of June. And then for our M7, it's after T9, finishes 6th of June. Our M8, between T10 and 11. T10 and 11, they both finish on the 20th of June. So which one are we going to choose in this case? So we're going to choose T11. Why are we going to choose T11? We are choosing T11 because for milestone number 8 to be complete, then both tasks should have been complete. So we need to choose the last task, right? So we cannot approve, for an instance, if T1, it is developing a business plan, and then T11 is finalizing a business plan, and then our M8 is getting approval of the business plan. Then it means first, the business plan must have been developed. Number 2, it must have been finalized. So both these tasks need to happen for this milestone to be reached. So hence we're going to put, since they both have the 20th of since they both have the 20th of June, then we're not going to put it in between the two tasks, but we're going to put it right after the last task, which is T11. So insert T11, and that's our M8. So it depends on both T10 and T11 They both finish on the 20th. So you're going to put it there. Alright, so the last thing now that we have to do, let us observe our data, our Gantt chart. So far we have these diamonds, or these diamond black block, this black block shaped like a diamond. These are our milestones. These are our milestones. So from the data, we've inserted milestones, we've inserted everything. What's left, we need to insert our predecessors. So where do we get that data? Come here, our dependencies. Okay, under our dependencies, we're gonna check T1. Now, okay, now it's time to assign. So we've assigned milestones. Now it's time for us to assign. Now it's time for us to assign tasks that are dependent on other tasks. So for instance, observe the activity. It's phase 1. The task is T3, and then under dependencies we have T1 and M1. So we have assigned M1 to T1, right? By doing what? By inserting a row after T1 and putting your M1. So now it's time to assign this task that depends on that task. So T1 needs to be assigned to T3, right? We are assigning activities that depend on one another. So how do we assign activities? We go to T1. This is T1. We are assigning, T3. We are assigning T1 under T3. So we have assigned the milestones. Now we are assigning the tasks. So T1, this is T1. So we're going to check the task ID number. So where do we get the task ID number? From the first column. This column, 1 up to 22. These are ID numbers. These are task ID numbers. So for T1, which is task number 1, the ID number is 2. For T2, the ID number is 4. T3, the ID number is 7. T4, ID number is 9. Right? So we are assigning T1 to T3. So we go to T3, under predecessors. We then going to put our T1 using the task ID. So we observe, what is the task ID of T1? It is 2. So we put 2. And then we check under T5. Where's T5? This is where T5 is. Under T5, we have 2 tasks that are dependent on T5. So we are assigning these tasks to T5. It's T2 and T3. What is the ID number of T2 and T3? T2, let's check again. So under T5, it's T2 and T4. Let's go to T5. T5, the ID number for T2 is 4, and the ID number for T4 is 9. Like that. So if we have 2 tasks, you put a semicolon. And then under T6, we have T1 and T2. What is T1's ID? What is T2's ID is 4. So it's 2 and 4. Then under T7 we have T1. Was T7, T1, the ID number is 2. And then under T8 we have T4. T4's ID number is 9. And then under T9 we have T3 and T6. Here's T9, T3 and T6. T3's ID is 7 and T6 ID is 13. That's T9. T10 is T7 and T8. T7 is 14 semicolon, T8 is 15. Right, and then T11 we have T9. What is our T9? It is 17. 17. And then under T12 we have T10 and T11. What is T10? Is 19 and T11 is 20. We have assigned our tasks. So we have inserted all the data that we need. We have our Gantt chart already. We have our Gantt chart. From here, you're gonna then take a screenshot of this table. Take a screenshot of this table, then you paste it on Microsoft Excel. Okay, you're gonna take a screenshot of this, paste it on Microsoft. You're gonna right click, copy, and then paste it on Microsoft Excel. You take a screenshot of your Gantt chart, or you could put them, you could take a screenshot of both of them. Maybe reduce this. Maybe reduce that. This will allow you to take a screenshot of both your Gantt chart and this table. So you can zoom in so that everything is clear. I can still read your resources, nothing is blurry. Then you can take a screenshot of both. When you take a screenshot, please take a screenshot from your project name. So you're gonna take a screenshot from your student number, initial, surname, so that I can identify whose file is this. You right click, you copy, and then paste on Microsoft Excel. So you go to snipping tool, copy, Microsoft Excel, paste. Insert a header. Your student number, initials, surname, right? Initials, surname. Okay, for the purpose of this video, I'm not gonna go through how you make this paper or this sheet to be printable, but make sure that everything is printable, right? Make sure that everything is printable. Okay, so make sure that everything is sitting nicely, so I can tell from that this sheet won't be printable. So when you take your screenshots, take them properly such that your script we can print your script. So you see, like this one, obviously you're going to tell me if it's question 1.1, it'll say 1.1. input table. Right, and then you repeat the same process. You insert your, take a screenshot of your Gantt chart, and then you go to network, select network. This is your network diagram. Take a screenshot of your network diagram, copy, paste. Make sure that you scroll down and you take a screenshot of everything. So you take a screenshot of everything. Then of course you're gonna scroll. You'll fix how you're aligning your screenshots. You crop out whatever needs to be cropped out if you still have time. And then you go to work breakdown structure. You repeat the same process. Take a screenshot of your work breakdown structure. Paste it. Also make sure that you scroll all the way to the last task and the last phase. So you'll keep scrolling, take a screenshot, paste, scroll, take a screenshot, paste. If you can zoom out, do zoom out for as long as your cost is not blurry, then I can mark it. But if your cost is blurry, then I can't give you a mark for this. So guys, this is what I want. Then you're going to save your Excel sheet using your student number, your Excel file, your student number, initial, surname. And then for your test, you'll submit both your Excel file that has these screenshots as well as your Project Libre file. So if you only submit your Project Libre file and you don't submit the sheet, I'm not marking your work. So you need to submit both files. So guys, that's it. I hope you understand, and always save your work on DOSpace to avoid losing your work in case a computer malfunctions. All right guys, thank you.